Hi everyone, this is Gail from Gail Julie Makes. I hope you're all doing well. Just popped on today to do an image transfer on the gel plate, and I'm going to be using a laser transfer that I got printed at my local copy shop. Now I'm doing a print of a cat. This is a cat from my local cat cafe, and I wanted to go for a retro feel, so I'm using a cassette to sort of mask off certain areas on the print. So I'll be doing an image transfer pull and also using the cassette to imprint onto the acrylic, and then I'll pull the whole lot together. So what I usually do when I go to the copy shop is get them to print a black and white picture but with a colour ink, which usually there's a better saturation from the colour ink than there is the black and white. So if you take a black and white image and just ask them to print in colour, hopefully that will work for you like it does for me. Now you can try putting it through the printer twice. I've done this in the past in a previous video and that worked well, but you have to be careful with that because the image can come out blurred. So just bear that in mind. You can maybe ask them to put it through the printer once and then ask them to do one where they've put it through twice and just see what results you get. But if it's been put through the printer once like this one, it tends to work fine for me as well. Okay, my go-to paint for image transfer is Liquitex Heavy Body in Paynes Grey. I love the colour, and also the heavy body is good for when you want to manipulate the print a little bit because it takes longer to dry basically. So I'm just going to lay some down on the plate, just get a few bits off there that had, I think that was dry paint actually from the tube because I haven't used it for a while. So just going to lay down a little bit of paint. Obviously you don't need too much for image transfers because you want to be able to sort of almost see the plate through the layer of paint. So it's a tricky balance of getting just the Goldilocks, I always say the Goldilocks effect of you know, just the right amount of paint. You don't want too much, you don't want too little. So it's a tricky one. I'm just looking at my brayer there and just thinking I'm going to get a different brayer because the edges dig in quite a bit with that one because somebody cleaned it for me recently. So anyway, I've got my brayer ready. If you've got a wider brayer than this, great, use that because it means you won't be sort of getting lines so much when you are brayering your paint onto the plate. So again, I'm using Paynes Grey, Liquitex Heavy Body. And I'm just going to try and get a nice fine even layer. Like I say, don't want it too thick, and if you feel like you've got too much paint on there, then obviously just brayer off at the side. So I'm just going to brayer it for a while until I'm happy with the smooth consistency. And what will usually happens if you've got the wrong amount of paint is you might brayer some off and then brayer again, and you get almost like a light patch appearing against the rest, and you can just sort of tell it's too light, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to brayer a bit of that off on the side. You'll see that in a minute. Actually, I do think at this point take a little bit too much off in a minute. I'm just pointing out there my plate's bubbling a little bit, or the paint is, because this is a newer plate. There you go, you can see that's too light. So I'm adding a bit more acrylic. And what I was going to say, yeah, was my paint is bubbling a little bit because this is a newer plate that I'm using. My go-to plate is so covered in grunge that I can't really use it anymore to demo on for the channel. So this plate works fine though. And I'm just getting ready to lay my sheet down there. I'm just going to fold it at the bottom where I haven't got any image, just so I can line it up properly with the gel plate. This again is Goldilocks moment, or Goldilocks effect. It's just the right amount of pressure that you need. It's not too much, not too little. So really this is something you've got to practice, guys. I've just pulled it away there to have a quick look, and I thought it needed a bit more pressure. But if I'd done too much, then it could have kind of, you know, completely wiped it off the plate. So it's definitely something you've got to practice. Now what I'm doing quickly is just cleaning off the paint around the edge there, and now I end up adding more paint again because I was going to originally use a different colour, a bright colour, but I thought because I want that imprint of the tape to be really clear, I thought I'd go in again with the Paynes Grey. So the idea is we'll get some more Paynes Grey back down, and then when we imprint or press the tape onto the gel plate, it should leave a really nice, clear, crisp image that will match up to the same colour as the cat. So then when we pull it with a different colour, it'll still sort of stand out as really detailed. I think if we'd pulled it in the bright colour like I was originally intended to, then it might have got a bit lost when we pulled it with the colours. So I'm just adding a little bit of Paynes grey to each corner. And then I'm going to do the tape imprint as we go. So here I'm coming in with the tape and I'm just pressing it down. And then as we pull away, we can see that detail on there. Now, when I do the final pull, it's not 100% crisp as I'd want this bit to be, but you've kind of got to work quite quick with the tape. And because I'd used this tape a few times before in practice sessions, I was also sort of thinking maybe it got a little bit clogged up with previous acrylic paint. So, you know, get yourself a few cassettes is what I recommend. And then once you feel like they're getting a bit too gunked up, like you would maybe if you were using foliage, just start with a fresh one and then it should give you that really crisp, fine image. And obviously make sure your paint isn't getting too dry, because this is why I did it in stages as I went round rather than adding all of the Paynes grey and then doing them all at the end together. I thought if I lay the paint down and then get the impression from the cassette, then that would be a much crisper image than if I'd left it to go dry. Obviously that's why we wanted to use the heavy body paint as well, because it does give us a little bit longer to work with. For example, if you were using like a fluid acrylic, that would dry much quicker. So the idea is give yourself plenty of time to get those impressions on there. So I've added a few tape or cassette impressions there, and I'm happy with that. So what we're going to do next is start thinking about, once it's dry, we'll start adding some of the colours on top to pull with. And I'm just going in, just dabbing a few areas here that I feel you know, may help it stand out a bit more, the cassette impressions, if I've rubbed a little bit of excess paint off from underneath. So you can manipulate it how you like while it's still a little bit wet. You could come in maybe with cotton buds or something to texturize with, and then yeah, just experiment really. Okay, so now I'm happy that the print is completely dry. You don't want to leave it wet or slightly damp, because as you add paint over the top, it could just all merge together and you end up pulling off the whole image. So yeah, once it's dry, I've decided to use 3 different colours to pull with, and I'll kind of graduate up. So I'm going to start off with turquoise, and I'm going to lay this at the bottom. I'm going to use yellow in the middle and then pink at the top. The reason I'm using yellow in the middle is because I think it'd be a nice graduation from the blue to yellow, but also because I want to really capture that crisp image of the cat's face. So again, this is a bit of a Goldilocks moment, Goldilocks effect. You're going to need to make sure you can see the image through the paint. I've got a few bits on my brayer there, so I'm just going to brayer off, because obviously you don't want to get bits on your print either. And yeah, keep your brayering sheet off at the side, because as I say, you're probably going to need to take some paint off. It doesn't want to be too thick, but if it's too thin, it's not going to pull properly. So you want to just be able to see the print through the paint. But if you see bottom there now, I've taken too much off, so I'm adding a little bit more. So again, it's just practice, but you'll get there. So yeah, so we're going to graduate from the turquoise into the yellow and then into the pink. Now unfortunately my filming did cut out when I get to the pink stage, so sorry, you're going to miss that bit off. But thankfully I realised this before I did the actual pull, so you'll see the pulling off the plate, which is always the best bit, to see what it actually looks like, which is great. Well, you hope it's great. Yeah, so I will it'll cut out in a second, and I'll catch you with the final pull. Okay, so back to the print. So obviously I've added the pink in and that got cut out, but so it's gone from a nice sort of pink to orange, and then into the yellow, and then a bit of green where it's transitioned from the yellow to the blue. So quite a nice a nice subtle blend there. And what I've used to pull this, or what I've laid down paper wise, is something called multifarious card, which is 330 GSM. I love pulling my image transfer prints with that, because it's very forgiving, because it's so thick, it doesn't tear, and it tends to just pick up all the detail really well. So what I've done is I've left it on there to dry, because it is thick card as well. It will let you leave it on there for a while, and like I say, it won't buckle, it won't tear. And what I'm going to do is pull it this way around. So I've turned the gel plate over, so I've got the card at the bottom, and I'm going to pull the gel plate. Again, this just helps us get less tears and less buckling of the card. And I just want to make sure it's completely dry, so I'm just giving it a bit more of a press, just to give it sort of an extra little hand. And this is the fun bit coming up, just giving it a pull. So there are a couple of lighter patches in the corner there that haven't quite taken as well, but generally I think I've got as much off the plate as I can. I'm not entirely sure why it did that. Maybe that bit wasn't completely dry, but generally the rest of the print pulls well. So I can be impatient at times with pulling prints, same as with waiting for like salt to dry on watercolour and things like that, but it's just one of those things. So I'm just going to pull it from the other side, because obviously we've already given that side a go. And here we go. I feel like we need a drum roll or something here. It's always a tense moment, but it is great fun as well, sort of getting to see what you're getting off the plate. This is the moment of truth, and yeah, that's come off well with the cat's face. So I quite like the effect of that sort of missing bit of turquoise at the bottom. It gives it a little bit of character. As we always say, if you want a perfect print, you know, just print something straight off your computer. That's the beauty of image transfer, is that we get those little quirks in there. This is one that I did earlier as like a practice piece. I wasn't happy with the colour of this one though, so I didn't put it on the channel. Well, I didn't put it in the tutorial, but just wanted to show that obviously you can do it more than once. Now, I did have a fail when I was doing this particular tutorial session. I'll show you that up next if you want to watch that. That is basically a different cat picture, and I think a lot of it depends on the actual image that you use, and if it's got really good contrast, then you know it's gonna take well. But the other print was quite a lot of black, and there's always the chance that you're going to lose that quite quickly when you try and do the actual pull, you know, maybe pressing on too hard when you're laying it down, like we were talking about earlier. So I mean, the one on the left is pulled really well. I just wasn't happy with the colours. I kind of I was trying to create a different effect, and it just ended up getting quite muddy, and I thought the colours looked a bit garish, so I didn't put that one on. But it just goes to show that you can do more than one image transfer successfully. But yeah, really happy with the one on the right. And maybe what I might do with the one on the left is just come in and kind of add some embellishments with some white pen, or just something to sort of tone it down a little bit. Okay, so I will show you now that that image that went a bit wrong, just because I know some people like watching the process of things going wrong as well. Believe me, it just happened to all of us. So, but I just wanted to get a successful one on there as well, because, you know, it shows you can do it, don't give up. So this is one of the other prints that I got done at the same time at the copy shop. My idea was to pull this image with gel medium and put it onto this sheet that I'd done earlier on with the tapes. So I'd just done two basic layers there. I'd done a layer of pink and laid the tape down and on top of the pink, and then pulled the sheet from that. So I got a white layer where the tape was, and then I added a yellow layer, just a complete yellow layer, and that was where the orange came through, and you could see the yellow sections of tape. Really fun to do. I really enjoyed doing that. That was just a bit of a kind of like, you know, warm-up session, I guess. I didn't film that bit, unfortunately, but just this experimenting, and not when you're not filming, you usually get some great stuff. So just, you know, just experiment. It's good for your sketchbooks or your journals as well. And the idea was, yeah, I was going to pull that cat onto that background with gel medium, because that pulls clear rather than using acrylic paints, which have obviously got a pigment in them. And I thought, oh, it's going to look great, it's going to look brilliant. And then, unfortunately, it doesn't pull. So, so we're going through the same steps. We're going to be using the Liquitex Heavy Body Paynes Grey. So I'll whiz through laying that down, because you don't want to necessarily see that. Another problem was I realised my gel medium had clogged up, gone way too thick, because I haven't used it for quite a while. So I think my last one was one of my watercolour image transfers from a while back. It's probably over a year ago now. So make sure you're using your gel medium if you've got it. It does work well to pull prints with. So I'll whiz this bit on and then show you my ultimate fail. And I think this really does show, watching it back as I've, you know, fast forwarded this, it shows you I really did keep going and adding a lot of paint. I obviously wasn't happy with that sort of smoothness of the layer. So yeah, sometimes it can seem easier than others to just get that paint down, but like I say, just keep practicing. Okay, so I'm having a go at laying it down again, and this is from the same copy shop. So same printer, but and I'm using the same pressure, I believe, as I did for the previous one. But I really do think, as you sort of see the picture, it's more of a contrast issue. Yes, there is a lot of black, but there's not much white mixed in amongst the black, and I think that's kind of where the problem lies. Like with the other cat, you had the really striking eyes. We don't really get that on this image, so you can see the eye doesn't stand out as well. So there we go, that's what I've managed to pull, very, very faint. So I decided that wasn't really going to show up on my actual background that I wanted to transfer it onto, and probably not really onto a white piece of card either. So sadly, I gave up on that one. I guess I gave up. I did have another print. I tried it exactly the same thing again. It didn't work. So I went back to using the other cat image. But so really think about the contrast of your image. Is it going to work? If not, you might have to take a new photo or use a different picture. And here's my other prints laid out that I did when I was experimenting beforehand. So it's always nice to build up to a piece of work. And I do hope you found that tutorial useful. I know image transfer can be a bit frustrating for people when it's not working, but if you keep persevering and once you've found what works for you, then you can use that. I've got lots of other gel plate tutorials on the channel, so if you want to have a browse around those, I've got a playlist. And also it'd be great if you could subscribe. If you just hit the bell and all notifications, that'll let you know whenever I've got a new video coming out. Also a thumbs up helps spread it around YouTube a bit, so that would be great if you wouldn't mind. And I hope you get a chance to do lots of gel plate printing this week. Take care of yourselves, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.